Okay. Echa, if
Good
you are
morning, Prof.
okay, you're already here. Okay,
I
great.
am,
So
Prof. Okay.
we just have another minute so we can start so that
No
I'll
problem,
just
Prof.
make yeah, good morning.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this webinar.
Good morning, Arinze.
Okay, so get
Okay. Professor, do we go 11:01 or
yeah,
11?
just wait 11:01, then we start. And I will just give a very quick introduction, then Echa will take over, and maybe I don't know if you also have something mainly on the survivor fund.
Okay, Prof.
Unfortunately, we'll focus a little bit on Nigeria, maybe just for the first 10, 15 minutes or 20, then we can now move into the general.
No problem, Prof.
Okay.
Yeah, so Arinze, you can go ahead. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this webinar. Today, we'll be looking at Survivor Fund. I think that's majorly referring to the CBN loan that's been offered to small-scale businesses and family households. Today, we have Mr. Emmanuel Echa, CTO, co-founder, Songhai Labs, and as well, Professor Ndubisi Ekekwe. Over to you, Professor.
Yeah, so thank you so much, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It's always a moment for us to have this opportunity of coming here to discuss mechanics of business, looking at processes on how we can drive that efficiency and utilization of factors of production. You recall that over the last few weeks, we've gone through processes, we've gone through phases on how we can find that alpha, building businesses that we believe vividly that will have impact in our communities. And also we noted that funding remains a very, very weak point in the African continent. It's a Nigerian problem, it's a Kenyan problem, it's a Ghanaian problem. And I would say it's also largely African problem across all the dimensions. So, but luckily, we heard that the Nigerian government had some intervention funds. And so most of our members have been asking questions, how can they participate in this specific fund? So today, we've asked one of our very core members to help us look into this particular government intervention fund and see if there are things that we can learn, if there are things that we can prepare ourselves so that possibly when we apply, we can have a better position. So I must confess myself, I've not looked at it because it seems I don't really have a lot of confidence in all these government funds but good enough, there are people that do. So we welcome Mr. Emmanuel Acha, who helped us to give us an overview of how this fund and possibly can provide direction to our community. So thank you. Welcome, Mr. Emmanuel.
Thank you very much, Prof. It's always a privilege for me to be here sharing with my co-learners, with people from different walks of life and different endeavors. I want to thank you once again for this opportunity and wish all of us a happy new month and independence in continuity. My name is Emmanuel Echa. I'm the CTO for Songhai Labs. My core expertise is IT as a whole. So I've been in the IT business track for a while, a bit of consulting and core software development. For today's session, I would be looking together with Prof and all of us on the survival fund by the federal government. It was interesting to hear Prof say he doesn't quite believe, not like a lot of them don't work, a couple of them work, but you have to be sure of the content and still try, notwithstanding whether it works or not. But let it be that you've been given an opportunity by the government and there's a possibility of you getting a share. I would be sharing a slide which would make us have a smooth flow with today's session. Arinze, Prof, I believe I can move on with the sharing of a slide.
Yes, you can.
Yes,
You
yes.
Thank-
You're already a
thank you very-
co-host. Go ahead. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Okay. I believe we can see this slide. Can we?
Yes, I can see from here. I don't, yes.
Okay.
I think
Arinze,
most of
can
them
you?
are muted. Yes, we can see. Go ahead.
Okay, perfect, Prof. So today's session will be looking at the survival fund. It is actually called survival fund because a lot of Nigerians have asked questions. Other parts of the world, other African countries have provided some form of relief for COVID-19. And sadly, at the same time, the Nigerian people have seen the hike in fuel price, electricity bill, which has brought about an adverse increase in food, in transportation, cost of living, and a whole lot. So the government thought about it. What can we do that would bring us to be at par with other nations? Because I know, apart from being a survival fund, it's also a political statement to show that Nigeria as a whole is also providing a form of relief for its citizens. So the Nigerian government went into ensuring that Nigeria has a survival fund for micro, small, medium enterprises all around, for those who are at the level of actually getting it, because it's a survival fund, but it's not for everyone. Yes, so.
Yes, so.
Arinze, I can hear myself.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can hear you, but there is like an echo.
There's an echo there.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
No,
I
the
said
echo is
that,
gone now.
so.
Okay, thank you, Arinze.
Yeah.
So
Sorry, sir. Why have you muted me? Why have you muted me? Sorry. Why have you muted me?
Who is speaking?
Me, Alex.
Oh no, Alex, you'll be on mute till maybe if you have
Why
a
have
question.
you muted me? Is this not a debate?
No, it's not a debate. No, it's not. It's just going to
I'm
be a
sorry, sir.
presentation.
I'm
You would have time for questions afterwards.
I'm sorry, sir. You are an Ode.
Okay, let's know. Maybe we'll have somebody who's not supposed to be here. Aris, are you there? Where is this Alex? Yeah,
This
please,
is
can you
happening
mute him? Mute him, please. Mute him. There's no time for this. Mute him, please. And then Echa, continue. Sorry.
Okay, Prof, thank you.
Okay,
So
for the sake of this meeting, Professor, I don't know. I would assume that we have third parties getting access to our meeting links.
Yeah. I just was trying to help people on this. I share the third party, but I will take care of that. It won't happen again. Sorry.
no problem.
So I've deactivated the ability for participants to unmute
Yeah,
themselves.
we will not do that again. Sorry about that. It was actually my mistake. Yes, go
No
ahead.
problem, Prof. Okay, good. So the objective of this fund is to bring about a digital registration, onboarding and management of micro, small, and medium enterprises by the government. So the government has been able to carry this survival fund and pitched it across different schemes. There is one called the payroll support scheme, there is the guaranteed take-up scheme, and there is the SMME grant. They are all in different category because you can't just throw up a fund to different people and expect that some people would have it on a platter of gold without actually doing some refunds. And then other people would have it on a level where they would return the money, or maybe it's just like a bailout with the ability for you to make refund to the government over a period of time. So the objective basically is targeted at people who fall in different category. And this is the link here for the survival fund. It's there online, you can always get that, but this slide will be made available to us at the end of the session so we can move on with that. I have 15 minutes, so I'll be a little bit fast. I won't be spending so much time on each slide. So what is the requirement for this? To benefit from the survival fund, you must have a business that is Nigerian owned. You must be registered with the Corporate Affairs Commission. you must be a business owner and have a corporate account that has an integrated BVN, so that the government can track all the accounts. We can remember just some months back in one of Prof posts, the central bank has given each bank the ability to be able to access your other accounts that are tied to your BVN in case you have defaulted in maybe a loan or some form of grant that you are supposed to pay back. The government has given the central bank that ability to do that. So they need your BVN for that to work. You must have a staff strength of not less than 10 people for payroll support and 3 for GOs, government properties. Self-employed individuals also fall into that category. You have those who are the service providers in transportation sector, bus drivers, taxi drivers, rideshare drivers like those who use Bolt, Taxify, and Uber, and mechanics. There is also a scheme for artisans, electricians, plumbers, and other skilled people. Now, if you look towards the right here, they say, how is the government helping? The first scheme here that we'll be looking at is a payroll support. Now, what I mean here by payroll support is that you have a business that is already running and you have at least 3 to 10 staff. So the government comes to your business based on the registration. You have your business registered, you have your staff payment profile. The government has to be able to look through your books and say, okay, you have this number of staff, you pay them this certain amount of money. So the government can make all those verifications. The government will pay the sum of 30 to 50,000 to those staff, not to you, to be able to be like a source of survival for them, because the government believes that the business, COVID-19 happened and a lot of businesses are not thriving at this moment. So the government is using this as a bailout to pay your staff. Now, this payroll support is going to be 500 for only 500,000 Nigerians. 500,000 businesses would be able to gain this support from this scheme. And this scheme is not clear for now if there is any way the government is going to get back the money from you. And the government will only run this scheme for 3 months. Then there is also the formalization support, which is to help small businesses in registering their businesses as business names. They're not registering it as company names, as limited liabilities. No, it's strictly for business names, which we know the registration, if you are going to run that registration on your own, it can cost like 25,000 naira for that. So the government is going to take 250,000 Nigerians who have presented their business cases and register their businesses for them. Then there is going to be a general grant. This general grant is going to support 100,000 Nigerians who have shown traces of record of their businesses, who have corporate accounts tied to those businesses and have their BVNs activated for that. So the government is going to give a grant of 50,000 naira. Those grants are not refundable. So those who are participating from the grants won't have to actually pay the money back. And that's a one-off payment for that. Let me just move straight to the payroll support so that we can know when the registration begins. For the payroll support, this scheme was supposed to have begun on the 21st of September. But interestingly, that link is not active till now. It's supposed to begin with the education sector, which is the private schools, then followed by on the 25th of September, hospitality sector, then from Monday to 28th, which was the Monday that just passed, the registration was supposed to cater for all sectors. But this link is not active right now. So if you try to carry out that registration, it's not active. I think in a way it's good for us so that we can prepare ourselves with the necessary information we need for that registration and take part. I know for a lot of us who are registered in the mini MBA program, we are already savvy business people. So we probably have our businesses that are running with staff profile that we know the government can look at. And then we can actually access this. It will help us to save some money for the business while the government kind of take charge of, if you're paying the staff maybe 100,000 and the government decides to pay 50,000. So you balance up with the remaining 50,000 to keep the staff at work so that you won't have a lot of people going back home without work. So this actually is for employees of a business, and then those who are self-employed. Now, the benefiting companies to meet the following criteria: the employees company must be registered in Nigeria, like I already said before, have a BVN, have nothing less than 3 persons working, and then the business must be Nigerian owned. We don't, it will not be accepting businesses that are actually operating in Nigeria, but not domiciled in Nigeria, because most cases you might have their returns going back to the country where they are domiciled. So the government has decided not to cater for them. Then the second group here will be self-employed individuals. They fall into the category of those who are bus drivers, who are taxi drivers, who are artisans and plumbers. In the form, when the form is going to be filled, you'll be able to choose this category you fall in, and then put up a case why you should be chosen. So that's what the payroll scheme is about. The next scheme we'll be looking at here is artisan scheme. Now, artisan scheme, I'm just trying to elaborate more on the artisan scheme, because a lot of people will say, okay, I have a business, I have maybe a brother that is either a shoemaker or a brother who is a vulcanizer or who is a mechanic. He stands the chance of getting this amount of money as well. They would be paid within 30,000 to 50,000 for the next 3 months. Now, the artisan scheme, which is broken down into 3 streams. The first stream begins on the 1st of October. This artisan scheme is not also functional at the moment, you should know. It begins from the 1st of October to the 15th of October, and then it's broken down to different states. We have FCT, Lagos, Kaduna, Anambra, Bauchi, Abia, Rivers, Plateau, and Delta. They would be begin their own registration from the 1st of October, which was believed to be 3 days and 2 days ago. But that scheme is not active. The link to actually apply is still not active. So I think they will still be able to capture 15 days for this state in the first stream when the link is eventually opened. Then the second stream is supposed to begin on the 19th to the 31st of October 2020. The third stream is for 9th to 21st December. So this is expected to run for 3 months. When the payment begins, like let's say for those who are falling within 9th to 21st, Akwa Ibom, Cross River, Zamfara, Yobe, Sokoto, Nasarawa, Niger, Imo, Oyo, Oshun, Jigawa, they would, as soon as their registration finishes, maybe in December, their payment now should last from January to March. That is what this is about. But now for the artisan scheme, you can't just apply that you are an artisan without actually belonging to any association. For the bus drivers, they know they belong to the National Road Transport Union. They would have to be under the union, because now the union has to more or less recommend you. If you see how to apply here, they say enumerators will be recruited across the 36 states. They are responsible in collating the name. So the enumerators would be coming from the different unions. Let's say vulcanizers in the union, bus drivers unions. And then it is those unions that will be able to collate those names and then present them under a registration platform that captures all of them. So for the artisans don't actually need to be registered under CAC. It's a very straightforward process for them. For the next one is the guaranteed takeoff scheme. Now, the guaranteed takeoff scheme will protect and sustain the income of vulnerable micro businesses and all of that. The duration of the implementation will be the same as the payroll. Now, for the guaranteed takeoff, your businesses must be registered. You need to have a CAC registration as a company or as a business name. You need to have a couple of staff. The staff don't actually have to be as much as 10 or thereabouts, but then you need to have your BVN tied. And the takeoff scheme, there's a possibility that that money might be returned. That is why the government is asking for your BVN. So if you default in returning the money, the government can have access to take that money from any other account that is tied to your BVN. That's just what all of these would be. So how do you move on with the process of being accepted into the program? There is what is called the user onboarding. Now, the onboarding actually is where the registration takes place. Upon registration, you receive an activation code on the registered mobile number. So you need to use a mobile number that is active and will be accepted. Then you'll be prompted to enter the activation code to your account. Ensure you use a password you can remember and your mobile number should be available. The process of registration is very, very direct and easy. I could just quickly show you what it looks like. This is the steps. It's just very straightforward. This now is for the this is for payroll. This is for the payroll support. So you put in your name here, your email, other details that are needed, where your state, your local government. It's very, very straightforward. You can't miss it. That is what it is for the registration. So we move on now to the register organization. So once you have successfully onboarded, you can register your organization. There are different steps to the registration process. Your details, your company details, your staff details, and any other information that will be needed. So we move on now to, then you get paid. We should understand that this is going to be a very competitive process. We can't say that there'll be I know you man, no man. I believe in things working out straight. If you want to get this, you have to apply and make sure you meet up to the different processes and the different guidelines and instructions that have been given. You should position yourself and either your company or your friend's company or any other person you want to talk to seek for this opportunity. They should be prepared and get there. Getting paid would depend on you having the necessary documents. There are going to be a lot of businesses that are not registered with a corporate account. So you are sure those businesses would not get it. There are businesses who would have staff profile and would not have books that government can look at and verify that payments were duly done. Those businesses would not get it as well. So the process of getting paid would depend solely on how your books, how your records have been. And I'm glad that the Tekedia Institute has put us at different level on how to get those books and those records straight. So we should be looking forward to the possibility of getting this at the end of our registration process. Prof, I think my 15 minutes, it's up. Thank you very, very much for this opportunity. Thank you. I'll be open for questions.
So, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Emmanuel Echa is here for questions. Please, if you have any question, just ask him. And thank you so much, Emmanuel. Thanks for that.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you so much, Mr. Emmanuel. That's really an awesome presentation. Okay, so we'll just go straight to questions. Stella Chikwe, you can unmute yourself and ask your question now.
Good morning.
Good morning, Stella. Hello, Stella, we can't hear you clearly. Can you use the message section?
My question is, I believe that you can hear me now?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay, I said, when exactly are we looking forward to this link to come up? Because I believe before they probably bring it to the social media, the link and everything should have been ready by now. So when likely are we expecting it to come up? Thank you.
Thank you, Stella. Stella, it's when you're doing business around the Nigerian domain and anything that involves the government, you want to be very tricky. Now, if the government has engaged Nigerians that those links will be active at this time, and they are not, so it means you have to be checking the link, let's say every hour or every 2 hours or every 3 hours. As far as you know you really want to participate in this and you have the necessary documents, I think it would just be worthy for you to spend time to just look it up. Because what I'm doing is I'm dropping the link for the payroll support. I've dropped it on the message section. That one is active.
Okay.
It's already active. So it is the remaining 3 schemes that are not active at the moment. But for these, the payroll support is active. The grant and the others are not active. The takeoff guarantee takeoff is not active at the moment, but payroll is active. You can just once in a while just check the link, refresh it, and see. It will not be that difficult for you to try it out.
Okay, thank you. My second question is on the artisans. Assuming someone is not a member of the probably the what you call in a group among, assuming like you have a boss, you are driving, but you don't belong to any of their group, how would that, as long as he's a Nigerian, how will he have access? Because if you don't register through them or you're not a member, and now this opportunity comes up and they are denying you the opportunity, how can this particular opportunity, how can he enjoy it if he's not a member of any of their group?
Oh, well, you see that the artisans don't actually have to be registered under the CAC, Corporate Affairs Commission. So
Yeah,
what the government needs to use in validating that their records go straight, because of course, in the long run, the government has to be able to measure how responsive or what the turnout of the scheme has been, the fund has been. They need their record, right? So if you are not registered under CAC and you're not registered under any of the unions, artisans unions, that means government just threw their money to the streets. They actually didn't give it to anyone. So the government needs anybody that is coming through to be under. In fact, you will not even be nominated if you are not under a union, because if you see, while I was presenting, there are people called enumerators. They would be on every union, yes, from every state. That's why the government decided to break it down into states. So for the states, they can say maybe Lagos State. There is a couple of enumerators. The enumerators now would say, okay, under the Vulcanizer Union, these are the people we have. They give everybody an equal share. So it depends on the records that they look through, and then they choose people. So it is necessary that an artisan will be under a union.
Thank you.
Okay, Stella.
I know why I'm saying because in
I
Nigeria,
know.
when you go through union, they already have the people they want to, project. That is what we experience here in Nigeria. And then the people that need this opportunity may not grab it. That's why I asked the question.
You know, Stella, one thing I believe in is, I see Prof every time as my mentor. Prof would tell you that he tried his hands. He engaged. If you have someone that you want to push there, the person has to engage. I don't always, I don't like to cry tears of pity when I did not engage. I should try my hands at it and say maybe in the long run, something kicked me out. So they should try. Whoever you have in mind should try. Be under a union, have your papers, and see how the union would not be able to take the person.
Thank you, Manuel.
Thank you very much, Stella.
Let me also come in there. It's also important to know that if they are really using BVN, which I guess should be unique, the implication of that is even if you are in different unions, your propensity of getting more than one grant should nearly be very, very low. So
that is true.
So unless if they are not using BVN, that's when you will run into that kind of problem.
Okay, Azuka, you can unmute yourself and ask your question. Yes, you can unmute yourself now. Azuka.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Good morning, Azuka.
Yes. A quick one. I belong to National Association of Small and Medium Enterprises. So let me quickly share that there are certain programs the government has run before, which going through that group, all members apply, they do all their work, they do all their documentation, and at the end of the day, it comes to nothing. And let me speak generally. First and foremost, businesses are getting frustrated trying to engage these programs, and that is the truth. Because at the end of the day, you do all of the processes sometimes over 12 months, different trainings, and nothing happens. So that's the first point. If there's, I don't know anybody in government that is following this wonderful interaction, they should know that businesses are getting frustrated and businesses are just trying to go ahead without any of these things because it seems that it just doesn't work. Like the last contributor said, it seems as if people are already chosen before these things start. That's the first point. My second point, however, is a much larger ideology. I am personally confused whether this government is trying to be socialist or whether we are running a capitalist system. a lot of these things seem to be tokenism. There's no big picture of, say, take a sector that can really transform 1,000 businesses over 12 months, pick that sector and give it the kind of private sector-led support that it should have. So that's my own problem, that it seems as if we're just doing pseudo-social things that seem not to be targeted at achieving anything. What is the big picture of these interventions or seeming interventions? Small businesses are contributing huge quota to the Nigerian economy. However, there doesn't seem to be an articulated big picture to pick a sector that will transform the economy. That's my contribution.
Thank you very much, Azuka. I know you're not basically asking a question, but like I said when I said to Stella, I'm glad you've been in the unions and you know how these things work. Let me just give you a very simple example of what happened. I happened to be around a university environment. Sometime in 2019, the TED Fund visited the university, and what did the TED Fund say? The TED Fund said, your university has not been able to access 5% of the total fund that is allocated to your university. Why was that? The university did not have the right processes to follow to get this grant, to get research grants, to get a whole lot of this. So now, look at what the government has given. I am not someone that, I'm not here to speak for the government. Actually, I'm not a card-carrying member of any of the political parties. But I think for the government to have made this move, the processes might be difficult, the processes might be tedious, but people should try. Let it be on record that you applied. I see opportunities come. You might be shocked that with what you've said, a lot of people might feel the same way you feel. And then you might see a scheme that has allocated 500,000 people to apply. You might see that maybe 100,000 people might apply. And what happens to the remaining monies? It gets taken by someone else who is just sitting there on the corner. So I think, no doubt, being in the union, we have to try. We just have to keep on trying and see the possibility of things working. Now, no doubt, we know from the Tekedia mini MBA, we have learned and we understand that instead of carrying 200,000 people and giving them 30,000 naira, why can't you carry 20 people and sum that money together and be sure that they have the expertise to change a particular market friction that is affecting the people of Nigeria, or affecting a particular state, or affecting a particular local government? But till when the government is willing to do that, we can't let these opportunities that come fly by. That's my own take with your contribution. I don't know if Prof has something to say.
Yeah, I think you've actually summarized it. And also that question was exceedingly great. I mean, the question came from a man that dressed like a king. Hey, Azuka, it's like you've taken a Chiseti title. Man, how much is that one? I still there here. That one looks really good. That white chieftaincy title. Yeah, so the point is this. If we are doing this tokenization, giving people $100, sharing $100 without a grand, great picture of what the future of Nigeria will be, we are not just going to make progress. Mm-hmm. My hypothesis has remained that if they take this 75 billion, they said, okay, in the 6 geopolitical zones, they will select, let's say, Aba, and say, Aba, we're going to give you 24/7 electricity. We call it renewable startups in Nigeria to go to Aba and make that possible. They can pick Kanu, they can pick Oshobo, they can pick in each of these 6 geopolitical zones. And I will tell all these artisans and all these SMEs that we guarantee you one city in your region will have 24/7 electricity. And if you go there, you are sure that all this problem electricity will go. You know, you'll be surprised that these companies or these artisans within the next 6-7 months will even create more jobs than what the government is doing by sharing $100, $200. But it requires big thinking. It requires having confidence that if you are not giving people handout today, they will not see you as a bad person. So I think, but of course, this is not the purpose of the Tekedia Mini NDA before we start going political. But I do know that when let's say Obasanjo was the president, I knew what he was trying to do. Even when Yaradua had his own small time, I knew what he was trying to do. And even, to a large extent, it's really very difficult at this moment for you to say, what is the grand vision that the Nigerian government at the moment actually wants to take Nigeria? So if we cannot unite to understand where the government is going without all these pockets of take $200, take the trader money, 5,000 naira. I mean, at the end of the day, people take it 3 months, the money is gone, and then they go back to where they were. There is no strategic uplifting or transitioning from one phase of their lives to the other. So that I understand, Azuka, that is why it's very, very difficult to see where you share the 75 billion. Does it have any strategic lifting? It doesn't. So, but it doesn't mean that people cannot participate, because that is the policy of the time. And that's what Emmanuel is saying. So that's the policy of the time. So people, I encourage all of us, if you need it, please apply. It does work, I'm told. Of course, I don't have time for such, because thank God I'm not in a position to need that. And even if they give it to me free, I will say I don't need it. There are other people that can make use of it at a better level. So let's just say, even if it didn't work in the past, if you can, and go and apply. And if you apply, something good may happen. I'm told the last time they gave people 7 million naira, some 12 million. So you could be one of those lucky prize winners.
I hope that answers your more or less a contribution, Azuka.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope also. We're running out of time, so we just take a question from Fagade. You could go ahead, unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yeah, good day, everyone. Thanks very much, Emmanuel. Thanks very much, Prof, for sharing. I think I'll just, talk a little bit about, my impression
Fagade,
about.
are you there? Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Hello?
yeah, we can hear him actually.
Can hear him. We can hear him.
Hello?
We can hear him.
Yes,
Are
we
you
can hear
hearing me?
Yes.
Yes, we
hear
can.
you.
Yeah, I just said I'll just, give my few thoughts around what has been shared, around the opportunity that's shown up. So from my perspective, I think we should be able to get thankful a little bit, for the government even going this route. This is one time that our government is responding this way, similar to the patterns that we see, in other countries. It may not be the perfect way. It may be, just as Prof have said, there may be a better way for the deployment, but I think it's a good start. If you look at many of the people that have businesses during this COVID era, they have been badly hit. They have been badly beaten. And if we have a government that says, yes, I want to do payroll support scheme to help, I want to help the artisan, I want to give guarantee takeoff scheme, I think this is a good way to go as the first take, in terms of strategy. And I think, just as Prof rightly said, whoever needs it, should go out there and just be able to, try it out, and, better what you do, take all the help. I tell you, everybody need one help or the other. So if that is the help that you can get for now, let's make use of it. And as many of us get savvy with this mini MBA and things like that, we know how to make better use of resources. We find ourselves in positions whereby we can advise maybe government and people like that, in our various domains. And just like Prof said, we can say, oh, don't deploy this fund this way. It can be better done this way, and it will reflect your economy better this way. We may see that maybe the people today, that is their level of thinking to say that is the best way to help. May not be the best fix, but I think it's a pathway forward. That would be my thought for now.
Thank you very much, Fagade. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll just take questions that has been on the chat. If you do have a question, do use the raise hand feature. Mr. Mano, I don't know if you could access them. My network took me out, so my
Okay,
chat
yes,
is cleared.
I think there is a question from Fagade. How much is being disbursed under this scheme? Is it equal for all the states? Now, I can't say there has been that federal character preference and all of that. I can't say for now, but I know the amounts have actually been shared for the period support from 30,000 to 50,000. I think it's spread across so that those who are probably maybe junior staff and maybe their salary range is within 30,000, they can get 30,000. Those who are a bit maybe senior, they can be within the range of 50,000. I don't know how the back end, how they are doing things at the back end. But then for those who are actually going to get their businesses registered, they are not getting any money. They are just going to get their businesses registered. Those who will be given the grants will be given the grants of 50,000 naira. With regards to if maybe Cross River State is based on its population, will be giving maybe 20% of it. And this, I don't know how their sharing formula is going to be, but I think they should have experts to help them actually handle all of that. Maybe they shall decide to say, okay, maybe geopolitical regions or whatever processes, but that is not particularly made known in their website.
Okay. Okay. So, yeah, gentlemen and ladies, of course, it seems that we don't have more questions coming from that space. We can open the questions to the general domain with regards to our program. If you have any question, not necessarily on the survivor fund, please let us know. Just because typically when I am anchoring here, our questions are not bounded to any specific topic or any specific area. So if you have any question, let's know. The presentation from our faculty this morning, Mr. Manuel, will be available on Monday's edition as we are putting the content. So we'll make it available. You can download it from the board. So even though he has shared it here, but we also make it available. Yeah. So if you have any question,
Chioma,
go ahead.
The message section, yes. He said, please, what category of businesses can apply? Can registered startup media business owners apply? Chioma, it's open to all businesses as far as you are registered under the Corporate Affairs Commission. You should be able to apply for it. They didn't particularly specify that maybe businesses in the mining sector or businesses in the agro sector. It's open. It's survival funds for micro, small, medium enterprises. So all sectors are actually carried along for this. So whatever business you do, as far as it is actually captured in the CAC, I think you should be able to put your documents together and seek to apply for this opportunity. Prof, there are other questions here in the message section.
Yeah, go ahead.
For you.
Yeah, just go ahead, please.
Okay, so dear
yeah,
Prof, what
ahead.
will it take for our billionaires to take a bet on Nigeria and invest in the kind of industrial hub setup you propose that could be set up in phases across the 6 geopolitical regions?
Yeah, actually, I don't necessarily think it's the billionaires, technically. I just think that the government has the money. You know, the Fakade made a very compelling counter argument, which is amazing because, yes, he had a very great point. And that is actually the reason why I do believe that Nigeria needs more debate. You know, I admire how they do it in America. Every morning, the people that work for the president, they do what they call press briefing. They come up with a summary of what the government is doing. The press will ask questions, and then the next day they come back to the Senate. Nigeria has not been very fortunate to have that kind of arena where when government is doing something, the press can ask questions or the citizens can also provide feedback. So the way I have been looking at this was totally different. But now, Fakere had his own point, which I believe is a very great one. So government has the money already. You don't need the billionaires to go and do this cluster thing, because the money is already there. What I'm thinking that you go into my village and tell everyone, come and register free for a business name. I don't necessarily think that in Abia State, people's problem is that they don't have money to register for a business name. I just don't think that. I do believe that if there is an opportunity, a typical Nigerian will find how they will do business, whether the company is registered or not. Of course, we encourage them to register their companies because that's a way of formalizing their business entities, but that's not really the key thing. But if there is any way you could solve some anchor problems that continue to affect these companies to collapse within 6 months or 3 years after they are started, you can actually do more than some of these little pockets of things. Yes, but paying for people's payroll, I think, is a noble thing to do. I mean, a lot of companies cannot cover their workers' payroll. So if you can pay for staff, those workers and their families will have until the company recovers, that's good. But going to the root causes of our problems, trying how we can go to those root causes, what we call the upstream problems. Government has 75 billion. If you take 5 billion for each of the geopolitical zone and say, let me provide 24/7 electricity in one city or one domain or one area, and then they share the other ones, you may end up having a more catalytic impact in that region. Because I tell you something, if you go to Boston area, let's say you go to MIT, inside MIT, there are companies. In short, when I was finishing my PhD, I went for an interview for a company called Analog Devices. And when I got there, it was inside the MIT. So I went there, went to the building, did the interview. The man who became later my boss was walking me around. And that was the time I knew, to be honest with you, that I was actually inside the university. This company in the stock exchange, I think is nearly worth about, let me just check it, ADR stock. It's worth about how much? $42 billion. Do you know what it means that a company that is worth $42 billion is actually a university? So, but why was it possible? It was possible because MIT has made itself a university, a cluster, a company, a market, that at the end of the day, some of the greatest companies in America, they can come into an MIT, pick a building and open up a lab and begin to build an amazing thing. So if you take 7 or 6 universities in Nigeria and say, let's pump 2 billion out of this fund, turn OAU into a place where every person in Southwest would like to set up a company. You go to UNN, you do the same thing. You go to ABUSR, you do the same thing. You may end up doing more for Nigeria in the next 6 years than sharing this money that will disappear over 3 months. Because if everyone knows that if you go to ABUSR in their campus and set up your company, there are a lot of support, there are a lot of electricity 24/7. You could just transform this country in a very, very strategic way. So that's the point. That is the hunger I'm talking about. I'm not necessarily giving somebody 50,000 naira, he's happy. Then after 1 week, nothing has changed in his life. But I'm not here to criticize anyone. I'm just making my own point, how I have seen this thing work in some places. It's not that Nigeria has the money, at least because we say we have 75 billion now. It's how do we use that 75 billion in a more catalytic way and in a more impactful way. That's the argument I'm trying to make here. Yeah, go ahead, Ariza, please. You're managing this.
Arinze is having a low battery, so I'll help him out with this.
Okay, go
There's
ahead.
There's another question from Ikuogu. He said, or she said, I'm not sure. Are these grants not the same with the Trader Monies program? Oh, well, I think the Trader Money program wasn't captured. It wasn't measurable because you couldn't quite tell the records of people that got that money. Their CAC documents were not gotten. let's not forget that this whole program, this whole survival fund will be captured in some form of database so that government can use those figures to either postulate and say, okay, this is what we spent and these are the people who actually received the money. So they are going to be quite judicious about the record keeping for this very survival fund. I don't think that was the same for the trader money. I didn't really know much about it, but I don't think they had a good approach with regards to the way the monies were being given, if they had the records of the people who got the monies, if they could say, okay, these are the CAC registration numbers for either businesses or companies that received that money. I think it's going to be quite different with the trader money, Ikogu. I can see Azuka's hand and, okay, Innocent Chibu, you can move forward to ask a question. Just unmute yourself.
Okay, greetings to every one of you. I do not know if you can hear me.
We can hear you.
Okay. My name is Innocent Chibu, as you have seen here. I was actually not prepared for this program, but for the love I have for my brother, my friend, Prof. Ekekwe, I saw and heard the discussion that is going on. I got interested. I do not know what qualifications and criteria that are required for this hallowed platform. But for the fact that I heard about, I heard you guys discussing about electricity, like the Ekekwe Prof has mentioned several times. That's why I indicated an interest to make a contribution.
Okay.
Myself, I am a renewable energy professional. Like he had mentioned severally about providing electricity 24/7. That's exactly one thing I personally can handle very, very perfectly, especially considering my recent acquired knowledge in the European world. I am calling from Germany, North Rhine-Westphalia presently. I have so equipped myself with modern day industrial solar energy system. A couple of years ago, I presented a proposal to power about 88,000 shops in area, 88,000, yes, in area market and generate the fund within the period of 48 months, which is about 4 years. You know, I said 48 months to 60 months as my break-even period, and I actually would have been able to do that. I am asking right now, is there any provision for somebody who intends to provide solar energy system for a particular local government, state, or wherever that is mapped in a large scale? Is there any provision for such? Because if such is available, I can beat my chest to tell you that the company which I represent, in conjunction with First Atlantic
Okay.
Semi-Electronic and Microelectronics plus Micro. Yeah, tell me.
Okay, so thank you, Mr. Innocent. I think just because of time here, there are so many questions. And I think it's largely the same thing. There are people across the nation, from Oshobo to Kanu, Yola, Aba, Uyo, who are ready to actually step forward and support our government to build more enduring catalytic things from like solar. Like I said, we don't have to bring in any foreign company to provide this solar. There are so many of them around our nation that if we can even give them resources, they can create jobs by providing this solar, since the typical electricity has not worked. So that is quite known. And that's why we continue to use our platform to make that point. Hopefully a new paradigm of government intervention and programs will happen. So thank you so much for your point. And I'm also so happy that we have been able to attract people in this Tekedia mini MBA. People are also working in an artisanal model or even in a small scale level. And we're confident as we do that, a lot of people will have the necessary managerial capabilities they need. So thank you so much for that. So Azuka, we'll just take you quickly so that because there are other ones that Mr. Emmanuel is talking about. Just go ahead, Azuka, unmute yourself and speak.
Okay, quickly, my contribution again is going to come from another area, especially as we are in the mini MBA program. The need to create a tech and science ecosystem is something that I see glaringly, and I've been trying in my own little way to do. Let me also share on this platform that what Prof talked about companies being in MIT, I am currently, unfortunately, I can't give details yet, but I'm currently talking to one of the government agencies that is focused totally on industry. And I can say that when the private sector begins to be bold about meeting these people and presenting to them the opportunity to bring our private knowledge into the system that exists in the public sector and in the parastatals, there is actually hope, because I've gotten them to listen, and I think we are almost at advanced stage where we might be moving into one of these institutes. Reason being simple, our business is currently built around laser technology and CNC, and that knowledge is not even available in our industrial research space at the government level. So we're trying to, or rather not trying, we've gotten to that stage where they have come to see that it's possible to create this synergy, and that ecosystem, being able to connect the various clusters of residual technology, Computer Village, Alaba International, Aspanda, Onitsha Main Market, Oka, Nnewi, Oshodi, Yaba. How do we, and Prof, this is me just talking to you almost directly, how do we use what we know already to create this ecosystem where the collaborations can happen, especially within the MBA? I think the MBA is a very, very, very strong platform where people who know what should be done are available. They have some resources, and if they can come together, if we can come together, this thing we're expecting government to do, I don't even think government even knows what to do. I'm of the school of thought that when the private sector gets it right and starts leading the way, then government can put some of these 75 billion that they want to throw about into a direction. See what has happened with the movie industry, Nollywood, what has happened with the music industry, what's currently happening with the IT, and what's happening in fashion. It's because the private sector has come together, collaborated, and created industry. Then government knows where to put money. So I'm talking basically just about science and tech ecosystem, and Prof, a way of getting the mini MBA members who are in science and tech to create this ecosystem. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Azuka. But of course, you know that, let me say at our level, at our capacity here, there are supposed to be anchors where you can actually expect people to build upon. Like I've given this example many times, that when they say that e-commerce works very well in US, because anyone in America can actually do e-commerce in a way. You put something online, people buy, you package that thing and go to the post office and drop it. Once you drop it at the post office, US Postal Service can deliver it from the remote part of Wyoming to the remote part of Alaska. You don't care. So you don't have to worry about the logistical elements because the Postal Service works. And that Postal Service, interestingly, doesn't make profit. But US government has done some very high level mathematics. Said, okay, if every year we lose $13 billion through the Postal Service, and then we can use that 13 billion to power, let's say 1.3 trillion economic activity. And we tax that 1.3 trillion, there is the propensity that that 13 billion that we have lost can actually bring in a tax of more than 103 billion. So if we get it that tax $103 billion, because we have spent only 13. That's a very good business. So there is no need of making the postal service exceedingly or not affordable for people. So the price remains very, very low. That no one talks about, oh, posting something in the US is exceedingly very, very expensive, so I'm not going to post. So it opens an opportunity that people can drain, knowing that the mechanics upon which you can move the item from one place to the other has been provided by government. So now if you come to Africa, you have to deal with, you have to buy a bike, you have to hire somebody, you have to see how you can keep control of, you have to now, so that anchor doesn't exist. Now expecting a private individual to go and set up something that looks like a postal service becomes exceedingly very difficult, because you now have to deal with so many ordinances, have to deal with so many states, have to deal with many local governments. The same thing happens with this thing they call electricity. Same thing happens. So what I'm saying here is this: it's not that maybe here people cannot just start and say, let's go and do this. But I always tell people, it's not necessarily a smart thing to go and do something you know your chances of actually succeeding in that thing may be very, very low. So everything is stacked against you. So I tell people, choose the fights you fight wisely, so that even before you start that fight, you know that you have a very high chance of succeeding. If you go to eBay right now, let's say you are in Boston, and you buy something from Beijing, China, through eBay, you can buy, if you go there, just go there to eBay, you see there are things they sell at $6, $3, $2, $10. It means that you buy a perfume, no matter the kind of perfume, it's crazy. China will ship that thing from Beijing to US at a total cost of sometimes $3, $5, $7. You ask yourself, how can somebody ship something from China to US? At the end of the day, both the cost of shipping and the product, you can actually pay $7, $6. It's because the Chinese government felt shipping postal services should be free, technically. So they have discounted the cost to make it easy that any person that is producing something, shipping outside China, will not even consider that as an issue. So that is what I call enabling environment. Government takes care of those big things so that those smaller ones we can go there and fix them. But if government doesn't take care of those big ones, those are the upstream problems we noted in our second week of our Tekedia mini MBA. That is very difficult for anyone to go and face them, because the resources required are so huge. So asking all of us to band together for us to go and fix that problem may not necessarily be a very efficient way of us using our resources. So that's the point I'm just trying to make here. It doesn't mean that we cannot dream, but we have to be very, very sure that we don't go in and waste our resources. More than 83% of companies that start in Nigeria in the manufacturing sector, the more than 83 collapse within 3 years. That is not a very good batting average. And the reason why they collapse is that quickly they start, they begin to encounter problems they have not modeled, the hypothesis when they were actually starting that business. So that's the state it is, and we just have to find a way to work on it. Yeah. So Emma, do we still have a question? Is this grant not the same?
We don't have another question, but I can still see that Azuka's hand is raised, unless maybe he has not lowered his hand after using the raised hand feature.
Yeah, I it on just to make just to contribute. Prof, I hear you clearly. However, again, when the government is not doing it, our case is our case. I don't know. I've read certain things like some books, like when I read Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand, which depicted America in the early 30s. It showed that government didn't get this thing until people did it. So my point is this, and I hear you clearly, and I totally agree that yes, we have to pick our battles. But if we don't do it now, we are at the mercy of these guys who are politically exposed. And we know from history, we're old enough, that the politically exposed guys, sincerely, I'm sorry to say, don't know this thing. They don't know it.
Yeah, I think well, we're just saying the same thing. That's fine. I mean, I agree with you 100%. I think we are just saying exactly the same thing. There's just no difference. What is just happening here is the process. Like I've given an example in our lecture notes how people pioneered energy sector in US. When Rockefeller started it in US, there was no energy industry per se. He built it. And so what we are saying here is that Africa needs pioneering entrepreneurs, people that can start to build these systems, even when government does not have the capacity or interested to do them. You know, the JP Morgan Chase, BY Mellon, people that build their financial systems, yes, they started it even when government had no clue. Even Carnegie, in short, where I live, this man called Carnegie, one of the richest men that lived in his time. He was a steel baron. He made tons of money. He was a guy that was very, very catalytic and very, very important in the eminent domain route. So he helped to build railway lines across America. Yes, these were pioneering entrepreneurs. I agree with you that Africa, Nigeria, we need them. Just like you said in the Nollywood in your former conversation, that they started without the government. I agree with you. But the point I'm making here, it remains that the private sector will do what we can do. The government actually has more to do. My point is not that government is not doing much. My point is government has resources that at least it thinks it has now. Is those little ones he has, if he can actually use them strategically, we will be better off. Just look at Rwanda, for example. Rwanda doesn't even spend more money than what we spend. It's a very, 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 very small country, around 10 million people or so. The budget of Rwanda may not even run it is a local government for how many few. But at the end of the day, the things Rwanda invests upon, the way it chooses what it does, it becomes compounded. That is what I'm talking about. When you say compounded, it means that Rwanda most likely will not go and give people 50,000 naira as just for them to do trading, because Rwanda knows it doesn't compound. Rwanda will likely say, okay, let's go to that market and provide them, all of them, electricity, because it believes that providing them that electricity compounds. Or let's give them free Wi-Fi so that they can list things online and then, yeah. So when you look at that decision making, you see how a government looks at doing things that can actually scale and have more enduring impact in the lives of the people. I'm not saying that Nigeria is not great or Rwanda is better. I'm just giving you an example how even the little money you have, how are you using that money? That's the point I'm just trying to make there. Yeah. So 8 more minutes to round up. And do you have another question? If we do not, I will ask Mr. Emmanuel, please. You could just give a summary of these,
Okay.
a summary of this survival fund, so that we just know that's what we just want our members. And please, I encourage every one of us, don't say it doesn't work. I am not applying because I believe people like me should not participate in this thing. There are people that can benefit more. Let us apply. Go and apply. And if you're having problem applying, it's right to admin. We have people that are providing support. We have lawyers. We even have people that help people. Just like if you have a business problem, we have so many of great people like Emmanuel, Segla, so many of them, they have made themselves available that any of our members that need any level of support, just email. We can pair you to somebody that you can speak with. We have a case where somebody was looking for something in northern Nigeria. Somebody knows a lot about that space. They were able to connect. So if you have that kind of, just write to admin. Admin will provide you a contact of somebody. So Emmanuel, go ahead, take over. Thanks.
Thank you very, very much, Prof. Thank you for this opportunity. And indeed, it has been a worthy session with the participants from the 3rd edition. I would like to just draw attention to something that happened some years back. A lot of us heard about the UWIN program when it came forth. Prof, you'll be shocked that a lot of people did not participate in that, and few people that participated got 10 million naira each. So you'll be shocked that maybe some of them used the money wrongly, or some others did not care about settling one friction or the other. But the fact is, government would say in its record, it gave this amount of billions out to the Nigerian populace. So we might be looking at the calculation that maybe the total amount of survival funds that will be dished out to the different schemes might not amount to 75 billion. But that might not be the case. The case should be that in Tekedia, we can say we encouraged our members, and our members had the right report, had the right record, had the right corporate account and information they needed to apply for this, and they got it. The mini MBA program has come to give us opportunity. It has come to give us knowledge. It has come to give us mentorship. So whenever it comes at this platform, I think we should take that opportunity. I've been on the mini MBA program. From the mini MBA program, I've been able to meet up with a group of team members here. We've registered a company. We've gone for pitching at different points. So I appreciate what is being shared here. And whenever I have the opportunity to come on board to share further on what we have, I try to push us to encourage ourselves. There's a whole lot of negativity around businesses in Nigeria, but things work. Things work. So we should always take the opportunity and try to ask questions when we need anyone, and we are always available. You already have, I've seen a couple of members from here already connecting with me on LinkedIn. It's easy to ask me a question, and then Segla is there. Of course, Prof is there as well, and would be willing to share knowledge and help in whatever way we can. Thank you very much. Thank you, Prof. At this point, Arinze is not here to round up, so we might have to round up ourselves.
Okay. So I think, so you just round up. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. We're already a little bit, well, we have 4 minutes, but if we don't have any question, we'll just call it a day. So thank you so much for joining us today at Tekedia, MBA. And please remember on Monday at 12 noon Lagos time, a new section will be on the board. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Prof. Have a wonderful weekend too as well. Thank you everyone for your time. And the materials will be available on Monday for us to look at it so that we can have in-depth understanding and links to the different schemes. Thank you very much. Have a blessed weekend.
Thank you, Emmanuel.
Thank you, Emmanuel.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, Emmanuel, I might need to speak with you sooner. I don't know if I don't know how to get to you, please.
Let me just drop my LinkedIn profile so you can connect with me on LinkedIn. Give me a minute. We can just connect and then you can ask questions.
All right. Thank you so much.
Okay, just give me a minute. Okay, my LinkedIn profile is on the message section. Just click on it and then we can connect. Then you can ask any question.